What's going on, Bolts Nation? Welcome back to another episode of the Bolts Block Party. It is Wolfie with my co-host Braydon Coburn. Kobe, I'm excited to welcome this next gentleman here to the Block Party. Nigel Kirwan, our video coach of the Tampa Bay Lightning. 30 seasons this man has been doing his thing, and it's a milestone to say the least. But obviously, Nigel, the 2000th career game happened just a few nights ago. Let's talk about that. I mean, 2,000 career games with one organization, an unbelievable milestone and accomplishment.
Yeah, it was certainly surprising. I've never counted the numbers along the way, so I didn't know when I hit 1,000. I didn't know when I hit 1,500. I really had no idea what number I was. I knew, more than 10 years, probably more than 800, but I never kept track. And I literally found out on the bus.
Was your phone blowing up?
After it kind of got out there, yes, my phone blew up. But I found out on a text message on the way to the rink from Steve Griggs. He says, "Congratulations, my 2000th game," and I was like, "Oh,
that's an interesting way to find out."
Yeah, it was just a random, not random, but it was a text message from Steve Griggs as I was going on the team bus to the game right beforehand. So
one of my favorite things about you getting to 2000 was the attention that you get. Like you're behind the scenes, you're a video coach. And, you're not on the bench. You're not. Yeah. People don't see you on an every game basis. But, there's been a couple articles written about you. We're talking about you, and it's a huge accomplishment. And I think one of the things, talking with a lot of people that know you really well, was we got to finally figure out how old you were. Because nobody really knew how old you were. It was a running joke. Like, no one knows how old Nigel is. So all this increased attention, we finally figured it out. And is it a true number? Like, do we even really know?
It's just a number, Kobe. It doesn't matter. It's not. Honestly, I've actually, I don't know why. I think since I turned 30, I've kind of just kept things under wraps there.
Of course.
Like even when they do articles about me in the paper, and they'll put they list the coaches for the season. I call the writer and say, take that number out. Like,
it's a state secret. It's a state secret.
Well, it's out now.
But yeah, it's out there now. Yeah. So when I heard they 30 years of Lightning, I'm like, oh, really? Did they have to say that? I should have edited the script before they got out there with it. But.
So how does somebody like yourself continue on a path of 30 years of a career with the same team, knowing that you have been here literally from before Terry Crisp was here, correct? I mean,
that
was 97?
No.
96?
I started as a video coach under Terry Crisp, but I was here. I think Crispy had already been hired when I got hired to the front office of the Lightning.
So what were you doing in the front office at that time?
I did like marketing and ticket sales kind of thing, mainly ticket sales, group sales, season ticket sales. It was kind of my niche area there. So I did that for a bunch of years. And then along the way, I got asked to help out with coaching amateur hockey because at the time there was a real big shortage of youth hockey coaches in the Bay Area. So I got asked to do that. And in the process of coaching a midget hockey team, and that's an age classification.
Sure.
For those people who don't know, midgets is an age group in amateur hockey.
Yep.
I was doing that, and of course, the amateur hockey community was constantly reaching out to the Lightning. And so the executives would come to me like, who's this, who's that? Because I was connected to the community. I was like, this is them, this is who these people are, there's issues here. And so they created this amateur hockey director position and dropped that hat on my head as well.
Okay.
So I did sales and became like director of amateur hockey for the Lightning at one point. And so I kind of had two jobs.
Okay.
And that actually, in a way, led me to Terry Crisp and working for him.
So the point of my question was, you've been through multiple coaching and ownership groups, throughout the years, going back to Mr. Davidson to, obviously before Vinnick. And so you've lasted through all of these coaching changes, ownership changes. How does that happen? Because typically, as you know, when an ownership group comes in, typically he wants to put his own coaches in place. They want to put their own personnel in place, but you've been able to survive all of that. How does that happen?
Honestly, you might not like this answer, but it's just luck more than anything else.
Okay.
This is a business where it's usually, and Kobe, you know this, it's like 2 degrees of separation.
Right.
From the player side, all these guys played against each other, coming up along the way, and everyone kind of knows everybody. And once you've been in it for a while, your network of people grows.
For sure.
And spreads out. And I've just been fortunate more than anything else with people coming in that there was a connection to them, or they knew somebody that knew me, or they asked the right people about me, and
sure.
and those people were fortunate enough. They said good things about me, I guess, and I was able to stay on board. But it honestly is just luck, because I know lots of guys that are really good probably way better than I am, and that of we're in and out and can't get back in again. It's just luck.
Wow. Did you like? There's been a bunch of coaches in the Lightning history, and you've seen them all.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Was there ever a time when a new coach was coming in and you had this kind of little bit, you felt like you were in an influx? Like, was there ever a time when you were like, I don't know what's going to happen here? Like,
it's almost all the time, to be honest. It's almost every time. Like when Jacques came in the middle of the year, so that one was I did not, wasn't sure what was going to happen at the end of the year. Mm-hmm. And then who took over after that? Then Steve Ludzik came in, and I had a connection to Rick Dudley, who became the general manager, and then Torts took over in the middle, and Torts and I got along great and still close to this day, so that worked out. And then, Barry Melrose came in, and he'd been out of it and really hadn't video. He didn't grow up coaching with video.
He was short-lived,
so
very short-lived.
I just, they just kept me on that one.
Right.
And for some reason, Len Barry somehow, I can't remember what it is now. Someone talked to Len. Someone I knew Len Barry, and they talked to Len Barry about me, and I thought, so that one kind of stuck, and then it's been that all the way through. It's just
Guy
been
Boucher, and then obviously
Guy Boucher called some people that knew me, and endorsed me, and it's really that,
I mean, it probably has a lot to do with who you are too, Nigel.
Well, I mean, Kobe knows me. I like, we were talking earlier about the attention I get, and Kobe knows I don't like
you don't
attention.
Like it. I know.
I don't like.
You could tell on the Valley Sports episode when they were video cameraing you and you're on your phone, like you did not want to look at the camera.
I don't want to look. I never look at. Yeah, I don't. I get. I just. Yeah. So it's. I appreciate all the.
Sure.
I mean, people have reached out and the things people are saying. It's so nice and. But Kobe knows I love being in the background and kind of away from the spotlight. So,
give us the journey. I mean, obviously, you're a native of Winnipeg, and you went to the University of Western Ontario, went to UT. What was the journey like though for you? As a youth to get to this point in your career.
Totally unintentional, accidental. Like my family moved down here when I was like in my teens, but I didn't want to leave Canada, so they reluctantly let me stay in Canada so I can continue to play hockey. Didn't play anything super powerful or really high, and when I got done in Western, I came down to Tampa, went back to UT. That led me to the Buccaneers in a part-time role just for fun.
Okay.
Wasn't a career thing. It was just I was asked to be a ball boy at a Bucs game one time, so got to the Bucs, and then right when I was finishing up my degree at UT, the Lightning had expanded at this point, and somebody at the Bucs knew somebody who got hired at the Lightning, and made a cussy. Would you just talk in hockey? Or I said, yeah, I'll throw a resume over. It had nothing to do with where I was planning to go career-wise.
Okay.
I was thinking financial advising or FBI, believe it or not.
Is that what you studied at UT?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got my degree in financial management, and so I was heading in that direction, and I said, I'm a hockey guy. Like, I'll throw a resume over to the Lightning, and then they hired me, and then it was like the rest just kind of trickled down from there. But it was a really unintentional career. Nothing I was trying to do at any point during my life.
What goes on, for a typical day? Like, what's a work game day like for Nigel?
So typically, what we do is we do most of the pre-scouting for our upcoming opponents.
Meaning that you're looking at
that we're looking at the game film of the other team.
Got it.
Before we play them.
Sure.
So a typical day is coming in, making sure that the games that are coming up are downloaded, and then Brian Garlock is really instrumental in that as well. But we come in, we make sure we download the games that we need that are coming up. We're typically working a little bit ahead of the team.
Okay.
So even though we're playing one team today, we're probably working on the next team.
Yep.
Nobody watches more hockey.
I was going to say, this guy, holy moly.
Him and Gar, they just, it's incredible the amount of hockey they consume in a year. And even in a little bit in the off season, because I know you guys got different stuff you got to do there, but like, it's just the sheer volume of stuff is.
It's hundreds and hundreds of games.
So you're breaking down tape of the opponent. Yeah. What about individual players?
The rest of the coaches don't have time to look at whole hockey games. Right?
Sure.
They're always working on our team, trying to make corrections, and they've each got their specialty areas within our team concepts that they've got to focus on. So for them to sit down and watch a hockey game just doesn't. A scout hockey game doesn't happen. They don't have time for it.
Right.
So guard and my role is to take that stuff off their plate and just kind of condense it for them and show them just the critical parts that they need to see, and then they game plan off of that.
Do you have to cater your video reels or whatever you call them to each specific player as well? Is that what the coaches ask?
So what tends not really on our end, like the assistant coaches, well, they have their groups of guys. Like Zetz will work with the defensemen and show them individual clips. Halpy and Jeff Blashill, Jeff Halpern and Jeff Blashill split up. We go by, hockey nicknames, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's got a nickname.
Of course.
They split up the forwards.
Okay.
So that's mainly on the assistant side. Gar and I are mostly on the pre-scout side. So.
What about technology? I'm assuming since when you started in the 90s to now, how you've also had to adapt to technology. I mean, it probably was VHS tapes back then, and to like CDs to now, it's probably...
Yeah, it was literally, when I started, it was like 3-4 decks. It was play, pause, like you'd have one tape for power play, one tape for a penalty kill, and one tape for a 5-on-5.
Unbelievable.
And you just pause, and then I used to make notes on the little number counter on those. I would write the times of the numbers for that. When a goal was scored, or you really couldn't do much. You couldn't track everything.
Right.
Whereas fast forward, then you went to the DVD stage, but now everything's ingested into a computer system, and it's we're marking everything that happens at the moment, so that in between periods when the coaches, because they don't have a lot of time before they're going to talk into the players, it's usually about 8 minutes or so. That they're going to go in and talk to the team, so they have to look at things kind of quickly.
Right.
It's something else.
I'm sure
so to watch a game when they're down below in the coach's room cutting tape, they have TVs kind of all over the place. Gar and Nigel, and they're able to talk and communicate with the coaches on the bench because they have a headset on as well.
Okay.
And it's just kind of it's super normal for you guys, but to be kind of watching it and consuming it as it's happening, it's just wild because they got codes and they got things they're saying all the time. In real time, they're looking at offsides and goal stuff that happens, and there's certain you guys have like almost like a lingo you guys use back and forth. I was like Zulu. Yeah. It was like yes, no, maybe so.
Okay.
It's really for me to watch it. I was just like, wow, I had no idea. Because all of that stuff goes into what you're doing.
Yeah, because what often happens is like the guys who are hurt or injured or not playing. That's every game. We have a couple guys that are not playing, so they'll often come in, particularly at home games, and watch the game with Gar and I. So Kobe gets insight every now and then, or had insight into that, where he'd sit down and he'd hear us talking this lingo with the coaching staff, because that's mainly on the challenge side.
Sure.
When I think the one that people kind of probably remember I get asked about the most was last year in Colorado in the playoffs. We had the biggest call. They had that offside call, and we were trying to get the bench to delay, and then a lot of people were upset that we took so long to make that decision, but we didn't. What people don't know is we didn't have all the angles. Like everyone thinks in that challenge system, we've got every single angle at the time. That's just not true.
Okay.
And so we got to make a call within 30 seconds. And in this particular case, nothing that we had showed the offside correctly or properly, and we were kind of guessing. We intuitively thought it was,
right,
but we didn't know for sure. So we're trying to get the bench to delay, and you'll see that when the players don't line up for the face-off.
Okay, really I was wondering what's the tricks to the trade, so to speak. Right, they're taking their measly time. Right.
Yeah, they're taking their time.
He's got a loose pad. It's like where'd that happen?
Right.
We're stressing out back there. We're yelling delay, whatever you can, and you'll see the guys just slowly. But then the refs get on you to get line up. But that one we got lucky. They're about to drop the puck, and then the TV truck happened to show a different angle that we hadn't seen yet that confirmed it, and then we were able to
that pressure is just like, I can't imagine what you guys are feeling at the time, because you want to make sure you're in the Stanley Cup Finals,
right?
And you want to give the right information to the coaches to make the call, and they're really kind of like they're relying on you guys because you have the views, you have the replays.
And the problem with it is we have 30 seconds to do it, and we don't necessarily see everything. And what kind of bugs me a little bit is that when we do challenge, the refs look at it for 4 or 5 minutes.
Right.
Like I get 30 seconds,
right.
but
you guys are grilling.
They get 4 or 5 minutes, and our careers are on the line.
Why do they get different angles to see than you guys get? I mean, should the playing field be even across
you would think, but obviously they want to speed up the game. They don't want the game delayed, and
this isn't baseball.
At least not concerned whether Nigel Kirwan keeps his job or Brian Garlock keeps his job or not.
Has there ever been a time where you mistakenly thought it was offsides and then just Coop get in you, or what's this?
Or not just Coop, has anybody? I know there's some. Coop's pretty mild, but I think some of the other.
There was one we missed a few years ago, and Coop wasn't happy about it, and rightfully so. We missed it. We screwed up and we missed it.
Was it offside?
It was an offside. Yeah, and we were focused. I remember we were focused on on one part of the blue line, and we thought that's where the offside was, and somehow we missed what happened at the top of the blue line.
Okay.
And it was our offside was up there, and we were really focused because we were convinced it was down here.
Right.
And so we had one where that's probably the only one that was not a good one. The other ones, we can't. A lot of time, what often happens when we get it wrong is we can't tell. We're not sure.
It's a gamble.
And then we'll take a gamble on it. We'll say, we're not sure, Coop, kind of your call. What do you want to do? And depending on situations, you understand this. We got to change the momentum. It's a big goal. It's going to give a 2-goal lead. You're going to take a little more risk. Of
course.
Right? So that's usually where it happens when we get it wrong. Okay. There's only been one I can think of that we blew it. Like we completely blew it. And after it's just like, oh my God.
But you're human, man. We all make mistakes.
It's going to happen.
So with this new age of there's so much analytics in the game as well. Like how much has your job changed because of that analytics aspect of the game?
Well, luckily for us, we have an analytical department, so they kind of handle the majority of that. But that being said, there are some metrics that we track in house, especially on the chances for, chances against side.
Okay,
that's one where we really focus on. But nowadays we have a team. Most teams have a team of or a department of guys that handle the analytics side. So we don't really have to do a lot of that stuff anymore. I shouldn't say we don't have to do it. We still have to do some of it, but the bulk of it's handled by an entire team of people.
That being said, when you first came on as the video coordinator, it was you.
Yeah.
Right.
And now 30 years later, how much has the landscape changed? Because, departments now, there's an analytics department, there's 2 video coordinators. It's just the amount of information is
when
huge.
I came on board, there was, some teams didn't even have a video guy. There was, I don't remember, I wish I knew the number at the time. I honestly don't know, but not everybody had a video guy.
Which is crazy to think that.
Yeah, and now almost every team, I only think of a couple off the top of my head, have 2 video guys. Because the load is that big, right? And there's so much going on, and I think with technology you have access to more information, so coaches want more information.
Sure.
And you can get things quicker, so the load is just bigger. Where back in the day you didn't. When I had VCRs, I didn't have access to all this data.
Right.
So what I had to do took way longer, but there wasn't as much to do because you couldn't do it.
Sure.
Now, because we have this access to all this stuff, and it's really completely evolved in the years since I started this. Yeah, it's
Wolfie, early on in my career, they were still using VHS.
Of course.
So I was in Atlanta, and we're having a team meeting. It was one of those team meetings that everyone gets a little bit uncomfortable for. The team wasn't playing well. Mm-hmm. The tape's going, and the VHS all of a sudden it's just it's
messed up.
It's spinning. The tape's coming out of the VCR. Bob Harley, who was our coach there, grabs a VCR and just starts smashing the thing on the ground,
pissed,
plastic going everywhere, and you're just like, oh, thank God! I think my bad clip was coming up next, But
that's the funny thing too. I'll go when we go and we set up for the meetings. It happens a little bit less now, but players almost always, if they had a bad game or a tough game, they'll do a drive by me. They'll be as I'm setting up, they're like, hey,
can you take that one out?
Any clips of me on there? You got one turnover and a missed box out, Kobe.
I mean, do players come to you to help better their game, to say, hey, can I look at last night's tape to see?
Yeah, one of the things I do is we push everyone's shifts to them, so every player gets sent their shifts for the entire game. And Cooch is definitely one who's always on top of it. It's automatic for me when I get on the airplane after a road game.
Yep.
I take a computer right back to him for him to watch his shifts. He's very meticulous about his craft and getting better. But all the guys look at their stuff. We were able to send that to them, via Dropbox in different formats. So,
Nigel, how has your relationship with the players changed? When you first started, you were, early 20s.
Yeah, as you get a little older, not that I've aged, but
here we go again.
Here we're back to
Kobe keeps
30. Kobe keeps bringing back to the 30 years thing, right? Listen, when I was younger, I probably spent a little bit more time around the boys than I probably should have with the role I had. But as that gap has separated, I don't interact as much as I used to. Every now and then, we cross paths on the road and we'll grab a beer or whatever. But for the most part, players and coaches kind of socially kind of stay apart.
What I found interesting was you were on the ice at one time, right? You were on the ice running drills, and then you were like a ping pong champion in the weight room. I never saw that side of you. But
Marty, we used to have a ping pong table in boarding school. We played ping pong. I've played millions of ping pong games in my lifetime, so I got, I think, pretty decent at it.
Sure.
So back in the day of the Marty, Vinny, LeCavier, there was a lot of ping pong going on back then.
Sure.
And one of Marty St. Louis' rituals was to always come knock on my door, because we'd have some really good matches where we're both guys that stand back at the table and just pound the ball at each other.
It.
So we used to have a lot of matches, but yeah, I don't hang out with the boys like I used to. It's been a long time. So
well, here's your chance. We probably won't fact check you, but I can't guarantee. Like, who's better, you and Marty in the ping pong? Like, what's the all time record there?
You know what? We never kept track of it, but I can honestly tell you, Marty and I had to have been close to 1,000 ping pong games.
Wow.
Or, certainly high hundreds.
Okay.
And I would say that I probably won 55% of the time.
I love it.
I would say he won probably 40% of it. Now he will argue that. He will argue that, but we were really close. And we'd always go on streaks too, where he would just get and he was he was a cocky little bastard, because he used to when there would be times where I just couldn't beat him. Like he'd get on a 5-6 game run, and he used to do this little shuffle where he'd freak out, like try to freak me out. Before I'd serve, he'd dance to one side of the table, and then every time he knew he had me on the ropes, he got really cocky about it. And
love it.
Yeah, but he's a competitive bastard. Well, he's a competitive.
It's in his nature.
Son of a bitch. And
doesn't matter if it's hockey.
Doesn't matter
pong,
what it is. He competes. And when I did beat him, he didn't like it, but we had fun. When he came back here for his banner ceremony, he came right and he goes, "Let's go." The ping pong table's still in, it's still there. He goes, "Let's go." And we went back before he went on. That was early in the day, but before that ceremony, we had that's the last time I played him, actually. So
that's fantastic.
It's a good one, so.
You come from a great family. I've been blessed to be friends with your brother Andre for years. I've been able to chat with your dad a few times. He's been here for game night. Talk about life growing up in the Kirwan household, man. What was that like?
Really, I'm blessed. I'm sure most people in the world say this, but I think I had the best parents in the world. They're very loving, very supportive, and worked hard to educate their kids. And my dad became a doctor pretty late in life.
Mm-hmm.
So and then when we moved to Florida, he started his own practice, which is very expensive, and but he still found a way to send me to prep school way in Canada, which was not cheap for him at the time.
Sure.
So. And a mom who went to London and England at a very early age and enjoyed culture. So one of the things she forced on all of her kids and my siblings and I was, an appreciation for good food and ethnic foods, and appreciation for the arts, and so those are things that I take away from my parents. Just really, really, really good people. And Andre. Andre
has been friends with him for a long time.
He's beloved in the community.
Very much.
He really knows everything. He's just got that big. He and I are very different.
Andre's
a big personality. He likes the
limelight.
He likes the limelight. He likes the. And I'm the exact opposite. I'm like,
so true.
Get me out of the light. Like, I don't want anything. Like, even doing the podcast, I was like, oh, all right.
Don't be nervous.
There's a lot of championship pedigree in your family. Like your brother was Grey Cup champion.
Yeah, my brother. Yeah, Andre's got some bowl wins, and he's a Grey Cup champion. And my sister, up until the last Stanley Cup, was actually the most decorated family person. She has 3 volleyball national championships to her credit. So up until our last cup win, Andre and I combined were tied with her.
Right.
But Andre and I now combine. Oh, well, actually, I tied her, and now Andre and I are ahead of her, and she doesn't like it. By the way.
You went hockey. Andre went football.
I went hockey. Andre went football. Michelle went volleyball.
Yeah.
And Andre will tell you he can take a slap shot. He can play hockey.
Yeah, okay.
He
I don't believe it, Andre.
I don't believe
Now, you've traveled the globe, and you've been a part of a lot of major league events. What's been the greatest experience of your tenured career other than winning the cup? Because I think that's just easy to say that. But other than that, what's been the greatest experience of your career? That's a tough one because you've been 30 years in it.
Yeah, I mean, oh man, there's so many.
Some of the outdoor game.
The outdoor game was fantastic. The Global Series going to Sweden was awesome. I got a chance to do 2 World Championships, one in Canada, one in Switzerland. That was an unbelievable. What's great about those events is you get to interact with players outside your team, right? You know, like that's how I got to know Ryan McDonough actually, right. You know, and the Zach Parisi and Suter and these other players that have never played for the Lightning, but you see them in the hallways now as you go back and forth with the games amongst your opponents, and you run into these guys, and because it's a intense period. It's short, but it's intense. Like it's a month with those guys, whether you're in Canada or Sweden. I did the World Cup in 2016. Those are always really fun to do. And then there's lots of things that you get to do out because you're in the world of sports. You get these amazing opportunities to interact and connect with certain people. Or I'm a big fan of the military, and I got a chance to fly with the Blue Angels because of this job, you know, and got to go to some secret bases that don't exist because of this job. So, going to the White House was a really, really cool experience, and I've got to know some Secret Service agents, and they've shown me some things. And actually, it was funny at the White House visit. This is speaking of age and being old.
You and Biden are the same age? I knew it. I figured it was true. It was true.
When we went to the White House visit, I'm standing on the South Lawn there, and this is before the ceremony, before the rehearsal, and a Secret Service agent comes up to me. And I had another buddy retired from the Secret Service, and he always joked about playing pranks on me, and guys in suits coming up to me and snatching me in the middle of the night, like you better be careful what you say to me, like always that. So right away I'm thinking like, oh, here he goes. He's got me. He's retired, but this is a young kid, and he's like, okay, here's John Ryan's prank on me.
Right.
And the Secret Service says, "You Nigel Kirwan?" I'm like, yeah. And he goes, "You're not going to remember me. I'm from Tampa, but I did your hockey school when I was like 8 or 9 years old."
Up.
Yeah, and I was like, "You got to be kidding me!" So yeah, he's on the president's detail, and he did my hockey school when he was like 8, 9, 10 years old.
That's amazing.
Tampa. Yeah,
that is really amazing.
That's like holy mackerel. So
and then he arrested you.
Yeah.
Nigel, you can't be in the president's bedroom.
Yeah,
okay?
they cuffed me and took me away.
So what are some of your favorite Tampa spots? Obviously, like you said, you love the food, the culture. You've been here a long time. I'm sure you've got some favorites and things you like to do off the ice. What are some of your favorite Tampa spots?
Any golf course,
of course.
Any
he can shoot 100 at any golf course around here.
Especially lately. That is true. Any golf course, particularly Southern Hills, West Chase, the ones I spend most of my time at.
Okay.
Any mangrove flat that's got a school of redfish on it.
Okay.
Is one of my favorite places to be.
Okay.
And then social scenes like restaurants. Oh man. Trattoria Pasquale, Osteria Natalina, bars. I like dive bars. Like this is another way where Andre and I are different. Andre likes the nightclub scene.
He's bougie, man.
He is bougie.
Yeah. You like the hub.
I like the hub, the Tiny Tap. District Tavern's not a dive bar, but Four Green Fields, the old Four Green Fields, and Molly's, and that's more my scene. But one of the things that's great about this world we live in, we get to travel around the country and go to great restaurants. So any restaurant that has really, really good food is and then there's a bunch in Tampa. Actually, Mott & Hester Deli is one. It's just a little deli.
People really know about Mott & Hester right there over on Dale Mabry because it's kind of in a shopping center, and if you don't know about it, you don't know about it.
I've been eating there for
a long time,
30 years, probably 3 to 4 times a week. That's probably the spot you'll find me at the most in terms of food places in Tampa. I've probably eaten there more than every other place combined. So a little shout out to Mott & Hester Deli.
Hester,
Ted, I get a free sandwich if you're listening to this.
You got anything, Cobes?
You don't need it.
Cobes just see me with my sweater off, so yeah.
Well, at least, yeah. Okay, I'm not even gonna go there. Listen, I wanted to talk about one thing that I dug up. You know, we were at a birthday party together just this weekend, and one of the things I found very interesting about you and is some of your phobias. You know, you have a phobia of moths, and I found really interesting.
You know how many moths are going to get sent to me now, Kobe?
Oh, no, dude.
Yeah.
Why a moth phobia?
I am terrified of moths.
That had to come from somewhere.
It did. I have a memory of being in the... So my family's we're Caribbean. My parents are born and raised in the Caribbean.
Okay.
And I have a vivid memory as a kid, running around. I don't know how old I was. I was 3 or 4 years old or 5 years old. We'd gone back to the Caribbean to visit grandparents or whatever it was. And I was running around out at night, and this giant moth, you're yelling as a kid, and you're whatever, wailing, whatever it was, and this moth flew in my mouth.
Oh, no, dude.
And I remember just like gagging on this, and the insects in the Caribbean aren't.
They're birds.
Yeah,
they're birds, right?
Yeah, they're like, they'll lift you off the ground and take you away.
Right.
And this thing landed in my mouth, and I just remember the feathery, chalky, and I was gagging on it. I couldn't get it out, and it was just disgusting. And they don't fly straight, right? You know, a moth. They're all over the place.
Right.
So you can't trust. You can zig and zag all you want, but you could zig into them or you don't know. So, yeah, when I see a moth, I'm gone. Like it's really bad. And everyone laughs at me like moths, like a freaking like. And Andre's afraid of bees. My sister, my sister doesn't have any, I think, but roaches. My mom's got roaches. My dad's terrified of frogs, mortified of frogs. So all of us have one, but yeah, if you have a moth, nighttime, like you'll never see me standing by a light.
The Kirwan curse.
Yeah.
So you know, if you want to send the Kirwans like a real special gift, you know,
you just put a frog, a moth,
just a box
and
of
a roach of critters in there, and you'll scatter us for sure.
I
But
feel like we need to do a video recreation of that day that happened to you running as a kid, and the moth enters your mouth.
Like
a recreation.
As long as it's a cartoon, that's fine. But
well, we got a special present for you here.
you know what's gonna happen now? I'm gonna get moths sent
all
to me
day long.
all day.
You're gonna get moth inflatables and stuffed animals now.
Yeah.
There you go, folks. Listen, we know you're busy. We know it's we've got games coming up, so we don't want to take too much of your time.
No,
but Kobe and I really thank you for taking the time to sit down.
Congratulations too.
Congrats,
Thank you
2,000 games.
Yeah.
Here's hopefully to the next 2,000. You'll be,
oh boy,
I don't
know if I can
107 by then. Of course.
No, I'll be 30 by then. I'll be 30.
But Nigel Kirwan here on the Bolts Block Party. We appreciate you sitting down with us today.
Happy to do it, boys. Thank you very much.
Go Bolts.